Now I wanted to make this video separate because the other one was already so long, but in terms of shift work, I wanted to talk about my personal experience with shift work, what I've done in terms of my experience and also the people that I've worked with. So I've done shift work in many different professions. I've done it in hospitality and also emergency services. Now that's not many really, that's only two, but for a period of my life since I was about 14, I have started working, and once I hit my senior years of high school, I was doing overnight shifts at McDonald's, and he would work from like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and it was definitely heaps of fun when you're a kid because you're watching all these people come in, they're drunk, they're getting their Maccas, and you're like, oh my god, so fun. And then naturally I went into working as a bartender and bar supervisor after that for a few years, and that also involved a lot of shift work too. So that sometimes would have me working from like 4 p.m. in the afternoon until like 4 a.m. and they would be very, very long shifts, and it would happen, 5 to 6 nights a week with only one night off. So I definitely felt the brunt and the effects of shift work. So that's always important to just note that, even back then, I still loved my fitness, but it greatly impacted it. I would say in that time, I was definitely not at my fittest, but I wanted to be, but I was definitely not. There was a time where, I would go to the gym maybe once a week or things like that. This is before I was a trainer in any aspect. So, I experienced that, and then I moved into emergency services as well. So I worked as a police officer for a little while, and we would do like afternoon shifts or overnight shifts or things like that. And sometimes we'd finish at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., sometimes a bit later, depending on what job that we had in the last parts of our shift. So I've had a few different varieties in terms of what I've done in terms of shift work. So with that, I've personally worked with police officers, other emergency service personnel, and also those who work in mining and hospitality. And with that, regardless of the profession that you do, there is always going to be stress that's placed on the body, and it's always about how can we ensure that we're looking after yourselves as much as possible. And a lot of this information and curiosity stemmed from the fact that when I was in the police, you've got to be strong enough to look after yourself, to use the least amount of force possible, to be able to run quick, to be able to lift people if you need to. You need to be so strong. And one of the big things that I personally found when I was in the police was I was tired. I was so tired. You're taking on the mental stresses, the things that you see can definitely be very challenging. And then, that sleep aspect as well, having different shifts throughout your monthly cycle and stuff like that. It was very challenging. So I always took a massive pride in looking after myself as much as I can, and something that I can notice how easy it is with anyone that does shift work. If you get really tired, it's very easy to go to easy grab and go options or things like that. So I hope that the video that you have watched is something that is of help. And of course, if you need help with your health and wellness routine, where you just need someone to sort of think for you at the start, and then slowly over time, it's sort of like building stuff in together or whatever it might be, that's what I'm here to help do, right? I'm here to help, solve the problems that you do face, solve the challenges that you do face together in a collaborative way, so you can start to build out a lifestyle that feels really good for you, because it's working with what you can do rather than what you can't do, right? So that's just my little personal experience. I didn't put it all in that video just because I wanted to make that more informational, but this video is a little bit more personal, knowing a little bit, understanding about what I've done. Something that's really cool, which I thought would actually be able to share, is that there was a while that I actually did this massive stint, doing a corporate stint of helping people reduce the amount of fatigue and reduce the amount of injuries within the workplace. And there was a certain workplace that I was working with, and I did 6 sessions with them, and then I worked with all those people. So it was 150 something people. I worked with 150 people. I had a little team. It was so great, it was so amazing, and I'm so happy, because in that time, that's the lowest amount of injuries and sick days they'd ever had on record, because of all the things that I had implemented in their routine and helped them optimize the routine in the best ways possible for them. We had 20, 30, so much quality changes that were happening within people, lots of lifestyle changes, lots of fat loss so that people could move better, lots of health changes, reduction in medications, improving in moods, less conflict in the workplace. It was so incredible. And it just goes to show that power of looking after your health in ways that feel sustainable is so powerfully potent. So I fortunately was able to have that experience also through my own experience, and also work with other clients too, that I've been able to see what works really, really well with those who do shift work to be able to help them build a routine that works best for them. So I hope you enjoyed the previous video if you watched that one. I hope you enjoyed this one if you watched this one. I don't like to really share too much, but I think it's important to share a little bit about stories or things that I relate to, because then you're like, how do you get your facts, girl? Well, it's like through my life experience, through the people I've worked with, and then of course doing the profession that I do, I take a massive pride in ensuring that we can create health as much as possible in the easiest way possible. So have the best day. I'll see you guys on the next video.